Good morning to all. Now we are in 1000 square feet construction area. 2 BHK building construction is going on. So in this construction, what they are doing means they are doing two-way slabs in all the slabs. So let we move on to one single particular slabs in a very close manner. So now we can see the slab what we are going to discuss. So this is LX direction and this is LY direction. So the LX direction center to center span is 3200 and LY direction center to center span is 3353 mm. So how we have to conclude that our slab is one way or two way? When we are doing a simple calculation, we can get the answer whether it is a one way or two way. So Ly by Lx is greater than 2 means we have to consider as one way. Ly by Ls is less than 2 means we have to consider as two way. So in this case, in our cases, the Ly center to center span is 3353 mm and Lx center to center span is 3200 mm. When we are doing Ly by Ls calculation, we will get the answer as 1.04 or 40 something. So whatever it may be, Ly by Ls is less than 2. So we have to consider our slab as two-way slabs. So what are the diameter of steel we have to use in the slab? For that we have to follow the IS 456 code book. So in IS 456 code book, in page number 48, there is one class. Class number is 26.5.2.2. The diameter of the steel bar shall not more than 1/8 of total thickness. Our slab thickness is 125 mm. Okay, so when we are doing the calculation, 1/8 into 125, we will get the answer as 15.625 mm. So our diameter of steel bar must be less than 15.625. So for slab we have to start the diameter of steel bar as 8. We have to use 8 above only. So in market we will get 8, 10, 12. So we can provide among the 3 dia in our site. So what they are providing means, you see the diameter of steel bar provided here means 10. So in two way, what they have to do means the crank must be in two sides. Alternatively, you see here the cranks are provided throughoutly and they are selected the alternative bar in LX directions, and in LY direction also you see the crank are provided. Okay, let me take these cases. The crank are provided in this direction and end they are simply penetrated into the beam, and they are taken in other cases. Alternatively, the crank are, you see the upper the crank are provided and simply they are penetrated the rod inside the beam. So main difference in one way two way is, in two way we have to provide the crank in alternative direction and in two sides, but in one way we have to provide the crank in one direction, and the spacing between the bar, so one bar to another bar spacing. Okay, here the spacing are provided very closer manner. I think the spacing are 6 inches, but in IS 456 there is one condition to follow the spacing. So what the condition we have to follow means, in page number in page number 56 IS 456, the class number 26.3.3 B1, we have to follow the condition what they are provided in that page. So there is two cases, 3 into diameter, I mean effective diameter, and another one is 300. Whichever is lesser, we have to take in that value. Okay, so diameter of steel bar provided here is 10. What is meant by effective depth? That effective depth meaning we will see in some other videos. So by considering that conditions, we will get 300 is our value, but we are providing here the spacing is 150, which means 6 inches. In a slab, if you are providing the spacing in a very closer manner means it is very advantageable only, no problem. Okay, so come to the cases. What are the main thing we have to follow? So let me see the crank. The crank are provided alternatively. You see, crank are provided top and then continuously they are penetrated the rod under the beam, and they are selected the alternative. The crank are provided in that direction and they are bring that rod and they are penetrated under the beam. So this is LX directions. So like that, crank are provided in upper manner and then that rod are penetrated under the beam. Alternatively, they are taken the crank are provided that side and they are bringing that rod under the beam in bottom. Okay, let me see the length providing from this point to this point. Okay, I mean the crank length. Okay, the crank length what we have to take means in SP16 there is one value we have to follow, 0.25 of L. So the total length, from the total length we have to provide from here, I mean here to here we have to provide 0.25. So after that the upper crank must be penetrate to the next slab the same level of 0.25 of that span. Okay, if the bottom rod, the crank are provided in opposite direction means the bottom rod are penetrated under the beam up to a feet next to that of span. So that is more enough. So in LX direction we are clear that the crank are provided in alternatively and in LY directions. So come to the point in LY directions. Okay, you see in LY directions I am just showing a center span. The crank are provided in upper direction and that dia of bar 10 is maintained throughoutly bottom and it must be penetrated to the beam perpendicular to the top span. And next rod, you see they are provide the crank in opposite direction and they are bring that rod and they are penetrated to the perpendicular beam and the penetrated rod must be in down. So here also we have to follow the crank length. I mean what we have to follow means the same formula, 0.25 of L. Okay, so what they are following means wherever we are providing the crank we have to follow the crank value must be 0.25 of L. So you see here the bar we are provided the crank, it is not stiff. Okay, for the stiffness we have to provide a rod bottom to the top crank bar. Okay, I think now we can see what I am going to discuss. It will be easily understandable. You see the crank bar provided in this direction. I mean topmost side. Okay, you see topmost side, it is not in a stiff manner. Okay, so what we have to provide means under this crank bar. Okay, under this crank bar we have to provide rod. Okay, we have to provide rod in order to hold the crank, bar in a stiff manner. So that rod must be connected from this crank. Okay, from here this crank to, and followed by next side, and it must be penetrated to the end of the beam. Okay, like that 4 side we have to provide a additional bar. You have to hold the crank bar in a stiff manner. I think you can get some knowledge regarding the two-way slabs. So if you are having any doubts, you kindly give your suggestions, give your comment. I will try to clear it.